Hi, so Wreckfest has been out for a little under a year now, and more importantly, the season pass has just come to an end with the last content dropping for that. So I thought now would be a good time to effectively revisit it and look at what the season pass has added. And how the game is now compared to when it was originally launched. Now, I do have to get one thing out of the way straight away, and that is I'm a huge fan of Wreckfest. I think it's an absolutely cracking title. I think what it does incredibly well, and it doesn't try and do anything that it's not really set up to do. I think it's got a huge amount of longevity in it as a result of that. And for me, it's one of the best releases of the last year. So, breaking things down into the 6 areas I look at, let's have a look at where Wreckfest sits. So, I'm going to start off with driving simulation first of all, and I scored this one a 7, mainly because hidden behind what is effectively a rough and tumble arcade style title is actually a very solid physics engine, and it's got far more depth than first appears on the surface. So what this does is it does give Wreckfest far more longevity than you would initially suspect, and it also manages to strike a really strong balance between pick up and play gameplay style and depth that's going to keep you there and hold you there, and it does a really good job of transitioning between the two. Reasonable range of driving aids as well to try and help with those kind of things as well. So driving simulation, as I say, that gets a 7. Moving on to racing simulation, I also popped a 7 down for this one. So first thing that you have to, of course, take into account is, given the vein of the title's driving style, the AI has to be aggressive. It would be a bit pointless if it was timid. But what Wreckfest manages to do is achieve a firm balance, a good balance between aggressiveness and competitiveness, and tied into a good range of AI options. It's in fact rare that you feel the AI has really done the dirty on you. On rare occasions it does, in all honesty. The resulting carnage will probably leave enough of a smile on your face that you won't really mind too much at all. In fact, from that point of view, Wreckfest's one of the few games where I've had pretty much as much fun losing as I have as winning or getting towards the top of the finishing pile. Moving on to motorsport simulation, probably not going to surprise many people that this is a relatively low score, so it gets a 3, because whilst certain real-world motorsport disciplines are the root of Wreckfest as a title and some of the events within it, so, for example, what we call banger racing here in the UK, it only really takes the bare bones of these series and leaves enough to craft a very sizable and enjoyable career mode with a good sense of progression around it. But as far as simulating a motorsport go, no, not really, so it gets the 3 for that. Moving on then to accessibility, and in terms of accessibility, I've already mentioned when we covered the driving simulation area that Wreckfest manages to strike that good balance between pick up and play and depth. And that's a strong point and gives it a lot of strong points for accessibility. I also mentioned it's got some good driving aids with a good range of levels between them that allows people to ease in to the title if they want to and then reduce them down. It doesn't go the whole hog, something along the lines of F1 2020 does, but it's got enough in there to help people in to the title. It does, however, get a few points docked for some odd design choices. The lack of ability to bind buttons is the main one for me, because in this day and age that really should be just a standard option that every title gets. And the overall presentation in some areas can also be a little rougher and ready around the edges, so replays don't look particularly great and the UI around them is not particularly good either, and that may put a few people off. Right, moving into the areas where Wreckfest really does score well now, and content, it gets an 8 quite easily. as a title, it came out of the gate at launch with a good amount of content. As mentioned, it comes with a sizable career to start, good range of tracks and vehicles, and the vehicles themselves are bolstered by a solid upgrade and cosmetic system that's refreshingly free of monetarisation, which is increasingly rare in this day and age. And then over the course of the season pass, they've added a number of really strong tracks free of charge, as well as a massive amount of new cars and cosmetics on top of that. And finally, they added a tournament system towards the end of the season that put in a range of daily and weekly challenges with a new progression system built into it and new vehicle versions to obtain. And this is perfect for those that had finished the career mode and were looking for a new challenge. So it really does offer a huge amount of content. And that content ties in very nicely to the final area I want to talk about, which is value. And I gave Wreckfest again an 8 for value, because you've got to consider that this launched as a budget title at £35 here in the UK, and at that £35 it offered really excellent value for money straight off. And the season pass was £19, and it's a rare example of a season pass offering strong value for money, particularly when you look at what's available now, which is the deluxe edition, which combines the game and the season pass, and you can pick that up for £50. And keep in mind, they're all retail prices. This is a title that does pop up on sales with reasonable regularity, and if you haven't picked it up, honestly, do yourself a favour. It's excellent value for money at the £50 in my view. But if you see it in a sale for anything less than that, it's well worth grabbing. I mean, I personally, if they were to offer a second season of content that offered you similar value to the first one, I wouldn't hesitate to opt in, pick that up and support the developer, because I think there's a lot that they could still add to this and allow it to run. So yeah, overall, the season pass and the first near year for Wreckfest has been absolutely excellent. And it's a title I really wouldn't hesitate to recommend at all. So if you've not played Wreckfest and it looks like it's your cup of tea, I would strongly recommend you pick it up and do so as soon as you possibly can. So if you found this video useful, please do give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are put up. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.